Well, it's time for whiskey review for the Dram Nation for number 2 this week. Obviously, for the fans out there of Game of Thrones, you can tell what the theme is this week. We're going with the Lagavulin Game of Thrones House Lannister Edition 9-year from the Lagavulin Distillery, Islay Single Malt. It's coming in at 46%, 92 proof. Let you get a little look at the bottle there. Hopefully everybody can hear me over the music there, but that'll be done in a minute. Came with a pretty cool collector's edition bottle. And this is a really old distillery. They've been around since 1816, so that's it's getting up there. They have a lot of other offerings. I'm going to pour a dram here, and we'll talk about the other offerings too a little bit. They have an 8-year and a 16-year that are pretty readily available around Wisconsin and Minnesota. Obviously, this is going to be a smoky scotch, very peated, rich scotch. It's bourbon and sherry, and I think if you're starting to get into the smoky scotches, I would try this one first because it doesn't have a lot of the medicinal characters of a Laphroaig or an Ardbeg. This one just has a lot more sweetness. We're going to stop that video. We don't want to watch episode 1. Yeah, a little more sweetness on it. Not so much of that medicine-y flavor that you get with those other two. The whole deal behind the Game of Thrones is they had a whole line of these come out. And I believe this one, and I might not be pronouncing it right, but Royal Lochanar, that came in a 12-year, and this came in a 9-year. And those are the only two age statements in the Game of Thrones line. But they do have another bottle that they're offering, Lagavulin, that I want to try someday. It's a distiller's edition. I believe it comes out once a year. It's like a limited reserve bottle. But it's a little spendy, and it's an NAS, non-age statement. So I don't know on that one. I maybe check it out someday. But first we got this Lagavulin Game of Thrones 9. This time we're going to add a little water after we nose it and sample it neat. And then we'll add a little water and see what that does. And I'm going to start scoring the scotches and the bourbons and any other whiskeys, that we try. I do have some Canadians up there, and I do like some Japanese and, the American craft whiskeys and such. But first, let's get into the nose of the Lagavulin 9-year. Yeah, it's pretty intensely smoked. It's got a lot of smoke on the nose, but it's also got a rich, sweet toffee layered in there with it. It's actually quite enjoyable on the nose. It's not like that campfire smoke. It's just like a real rich, toffee sweet smoke. I'm just getting into these smoky scotches. I kind of started off with the Speysides and the Highlands first and some lowland scotches. So I haven't got into the real heavily peated like the Laphroaigs or the Ardbegs, but I do like the nose on this. And as you can see, I've kind of got into this bottle a little bit already because it is quite delicious. It's a really good nose. I'm sure they use some coloring in this. I think every bottle in that line has coloring. It doesn't say on the bottle, but I'm sure there's some coloring in it. As you can see, it's pretty. It's got a darkness to it. It's got a good color. I'm going to give it a little try here. It's very smooth. It does have a little of that campfire smoke on the front end when you first like get the mouthfeel of it. It doesn't have a lot of bite. I mean, it's a very smooth Scotch, and it's a great layered combination of, I would say, like a toffee with smoke and sweetness. Just just really nice up front when you first sip it. It's just like a very nice, sweet, smoky flavor. I'd like to try their other offerings. I got to get a bottle of the 16 and the 8 and compare them, because I know a lot of people have compared these, but this is a really good dram if you're starting to get into the smoky scotches. I don't know if you can find this 9-year anymore with the Game of Thrones. It's probably really hard to find now, and the prices are probably jacked up on the internet. But you could start off with the 8-year and see where that takes you. I'm going to give it one more sip here, then we'll add a little water. Just a good creamy mouthfeel too, and with the smoke and the sweetness. And it does have some richness to it. And it's got a good, nice, long finish with maybe a little, I mean, I'm not saying it has a lot, but maybe a little peppery finish at the end. It doesn't really say too much on this bottle about tasting notes or anything. It tells you a lot about House Lannister and the other lines they're offering from this collection. But yeah, it's a really nice, rich toffee, maybe a little caramel, vanilla, little mixed in with that layered sweetness. I'm going to put a little water on it. I don't know, at this proof, it shouldn't kill it. Got a little water jar for this second video. It definitely tamed down the smoke. So like with the water on there, you can really dig in there with your nose, and it really took the smoke down. It doesn't have as much sweetness on the nose. It almost has a little more malty character to it. Give it a shot with a little bit of the water and see. Yeah, it's still really good. I just think it kind of tamed down the smoke. It's still got those good rich flavors and that good toffee. And some of that sweetness, but it really tamed down the smoke with those few drops of water I put in there. So, I would give this a I haven't tried a lot of smoky scotches, so I don't have a lot to compare it to. I've had probably a handful. I have a Kilcolman up there, and I've tried a couple other ones. But I would give this like somewhere around an 88, 89 in that range. This bottle was the second most expensive out of the line, so you're going to get some, pretty good quality. It was, to have you look at there's the design on the can. It was $55 at Woodman's in Altoona, Wisconsin, which is right near Eau Claire and Chippewa here. I think the Royal Lochnar 12-year is probably the most expensive out of the line, if I remember on my internet research. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Lagavulin 9-year Game of Thrones edition. Looking forward to the show coming up this Sunday night. And so yeah, I'm going to go 89 out of 100. And I'm not sure what we're going to have on the docket for the next review. If anybody has any requests, I got a lot of choices here we can check out, and we might have some guest shots this weekend for the Masters and the Game of Thrones. Maybe we'll do I got some friends coming over. Maybe we'll do a little live video or something with some different whiskeys. So that's it for the Lagavulin 9.